Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Attorneys for Adidja Palmer and co-convicts argue against a retrial. 2024-2025 estimates of expenditure to be tabled in Parliament today. And later in sports, JFF served with notice of appeal from Beach Soccer Jamaica. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Attorneys representing entertainer Adidja Palmer and 3 co-convicts have argued against sending the matter for retrial. They say it would be impossible for the men to get a fair trial given the high-profile nature of the case and the passage of time.
It became clear yesterday that this is a primary concern of the judges and will likely be the main issue influencing their decision. The questions are whether the juror who had tried to bribe the forewoman should have been discharged from the jury, as the attempted bribery could have biased the jury against the defendants. Also, whether the jury being sent to retire to decide on their verdict about 20 minutes before the usual end of the court day was too late in the day and put pressure on them to reach a verdict. British King's Counsel Peter Knox, representing the government, argued today that the trial judge had a discretion to send the jury to retire at any time. He said the trial judge gave directions to the jury that would have addressed any possible bias and that juries must be trusted to do their jobs. He said in any case, the evidence was so strong that the risk of bias was not an issue and that the verdict was fair. He argued if the court disagreed, the case should be sent back to the Jamaican Court of Appeal for them to decide if there should be a retrial. In response, British King's Counsel Hugh Southey for the appellants said the trial judge's directions to the jury were not enough. He said where one juror had already been let go and another had tried bribery, the jury's verdict could not be valid. He suggested if bribery creates a problem for the Jamaican justice system, the solution is to amend the law, as the British have done, so a case can continue with the judge alone. He also argued that a new trial should not be ordered, since Kartel's high profile and the length of time since the first trial would mean a fair trial is no longer possible. The Privy Council is expected to rule in 3 to 4 months.
Jamaicans will know later today how much the government intends to spend for various projects when the 2024-2025 estimates of expenditure is tabled in the lower house. A short while ago, we saw the ceremonial opening of Parliament, which marks the official start of the new parliamentary year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, led their team of parliamentarians in the traditional march. A short while ago, we also heard from the Governor-General, Sir Patrick Allen, who outlined the government's accomplishments and agenda for the year.
In 2023, the government finalized the development of the National Identification Regulations and successfully completed a pilot of the system. In 2024, the National Identification and Registration Authority will be operationalized to commence enrollment and issue national identification cards. More government services will be made easily accessible online through use of the electronic national ID card to embrace and enhance productivity and growth. The Jamaica Data Exchange platform will also facilitate the consent-based exchange of data between the private and public sectors to drive digital information.
We will have comprehensive coverage on today's proceedings in Primetime News at 7. The first of 2 debates for the local government election kicks off tonight. And with just hours to go, the Jamaica Debates Commission says this is an important event as undecided voters usually use the debates to make their decisions. Tonight, the JLP's Charles Sinclair, Richard Crary and Venetia Phillips will face off with Natalie Nita Garvey, Dennis Gordon and Alan Bernard. It will focus on local government policy and how it will affect you. Speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica Thursday, Vice Chairman of the Jamaica Debates Commission, Brian Schmidt, stressed the JDC has no influence on the questions asked.
They have 30 seconds to ask their questions. the person that the question is directed to, they have 90 seconds to answer, and their counterpart, their opposition, has 45 seconds to rebut.
Okay.
So what we try to do is keep it as tight as possible. We know that sometimes it may feel maybe a little rigid. It's not as free-flowing as a regular conversation, but at the end of the day, there's just so much ground to cover in 90 minutes of debate. So we try to get as much breadth of issues and topics covered as is reasonably possible.
He says the event has proven to give undecided voters a clearer picture of the ideologies of the two parties.
What's interesting, we found that debates, exit polling of debates has been pretty effective. We found that 67%, I think it is, of everybody who watches the debate says, listen, the debates have been very useful to us. It has given us information we never had. It's met our expectations. We've learned from it, and that's incredible. But what I find very interesting is that 35%, I think it was, or 37% in our last set of polls, the respondents said that it impacted their decision on how to vote.
He says, given that local government impacts people more directly,
day to day, local government controls what we interact with: roads, lights, sewage, gully cleaning,
the environment,
the entire environment. Then there's licensing, right? Because you do have barbers and hairdressers are licensed by local government, and then you have town planning and building codes and all of these things. So when you actually think about it, local government touches your life very directly every single day.
The 90-minute debates are scheduled for Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. The Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services is urging lawmakers to get tough to curb the high incidence of motorcycle fatalities in the country. The matter was discussed at Tuesday's inaugural meeting of the Manchester Road Safety Network Council. Krista Campbell reports.
18 of the 29 persons who died in road crashes in Manchester last year were motorcyclists. It's why bikers are being targeted across the parish as road traffic stakeholders try to increase road safety there. The Manchester Road Safety Network Council has been formed to help with this, and for President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS, Edgerton Newman, the process must begin with stricter laws and enforcement.
They should be in the traffic lane, but they drive in the middle of in between traffic. And what we find that some of them do, they remove the mirrors from the bike so that the bike gets slimmer to go through traffic.
You can't see the man pass you on the road without a helmet and you don't stop, you don't flag him down. We can't catch him. Bike faster than yours. We have to have a zero tolerance on our road with the bikers. You buy a bike, helmet goes with it. Put on the price, give it to them. They don't wear it, the bike must be taken away. And that should be a criminal offense when they create these accidents on our roads. So
we probably need to put something to slow you down at a certain spot, especially where they're having a lot of accidents.
Coupled with that, TODS Ambassador Carleen Davis is also insisting on a flood of education campaigns and ads to constantly push the message of road safety. For other stakeholders, more focus must be given to youngsters.
Because one of the issues we also realize is that there's illegal driving going on in our schools. Students are driving to school, some of them parking the motorcycles, parking the motor car down the road at a friend's house, at a linky down the road, and then they come to school. So if you have 16, 15-year-olds driving, it means they don't have a learner's permit.
Sometime a 15, 16-year-old will come in, had a serious accident. Our doctors will sort out that person. And then a few months from then, he's back again.
Over 100 motorcyclists died in crashes in Jamaica last year. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The Westmoreland police are investigating a quadruple shooting in the parish last night. TVJ News understands that the victims are 2 women and 2 men. According to reports, the incident happened about 10 o'clock at a popular bar.
It is really a really sad time for Savlamar. Within the last 3 weeks, we've had a similar encounter at another business place. I'm sure the party promoters are nervous, the business owners are nervous, and, you know, I'm appealing for some calm to this, and an order to this area in Savlamar right now.
Plans are in the pipeline for a new shelter to be built in Port Maria St. Mary. That's according to local government minister Desmond McKenzie. Speaking at a recent home handing over ceremony in the parish, Minister McKenzie said their proposal will be finalized in the new financial year.
We're looking now to find a location in Port Maria for a night shelter. And in the new financial year, we will make provisions for a night shelter here in Port Maria.
The new home that was handed over was provided to a St. Mary family under the Indigent Housing Program.
When they talk about indigent housing, it used to be pitch pint. And then it upgraded to groove and tongue. But it was only one house, no bathroom, just 4 walls, and as Mayor Query said, that nobody can be ungrateful. But it was under this government of Prime Minister Andrew Holness that we have improved the quality of the housing solutions in this country.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange JSE says come next month, 2 affiliated LASCO companies will graduate to the main market after a decade of listings. The JSE says this will be effective on Wednesday, March 24, 2024. Both entities, LASCO Distributors and LASCO Manufacturers, are currently listed on the JSE Junior Market. The 3rd affiliated entity, LASCO Financial, will remain on the Junior Market of the JSE. All 3 LASCO entities, co-founded by the late Lascelles Chin, were listed in October 2010. While a reason has not been given for the graduation, last year LASCO acknowledged that its capital grew beyond what is permissible by JSE rules. Further afield, federal regulators are now looking into what's behind a shortage of generic drugs worldwide. The Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Health and Human Services are launching an inquiry. HHS says they plan to look at drug purchasing and wholesale companies to see if they're disrupting the supply chain. The agencies are already teaming up with the Justice Department to see how corporate control of healthcare affects patients. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Simpson.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, police in St. Lucia have deported several foreign nationals, including Brazilians and Colombians, in an immigration crackdown in the island. The immigrants are believed to have entered the country illegally between December of last year and this month. The police say they remain committed to protecting the island's borders. On the international scene, a child is among 5 dead while 18 others were injured in a missile strike on the Russian city of Belgorod near the Ukraine border. Thursday's attack appears to be the latest exchange of long-range missile and rocket fire between the 2 countries. Authorities said hours earlier, Russia fired cruise and ballistic missiles at a broad area of Ukraine, hitting multiple regions. 4 people from an apartment building were killed as a result. And police crews in Tennessee, United States are searching for a sheriff's deputy who went missing last night while transporting a woman in custody. Dispatchers say Deputy Robert Leonard called in the transportation, but minutes later they heard a garbled sound on the radio and the deputy stopped responding. Earlier today, dive teams found a submerged vehicle in the Tennessee River, and authorities say his cell phone has been pinging in the area where that vehicle was found. The woman is also still missing. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Amoy Harriet.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Spencer Darlington.